What's up, Orcamaniacs? Welcome to Dubl Drbl Zoomcast episode number 6. Was supposed to be entitled Big Man on the Big Stage, and there's just one problem. The big man didn't show up. Kind of bummed about that, but you know what, Orcamaniacs, it's all good because when one door slams, another door opens up. And now our episode is going to be called Pass the Rock to the Doc. Doc has stepped up. So Doc, you're awesome. Thank you so much. And this should be fun.
Glad to be here.
She don't need no introduction. Everybody knows who she is. We got G down here. We got George to the side. We got Ferran, and we got the coach. Let's go ahead and improvise, guys. Let's have some fun. So, Doc, we know a little bit about you. We know that you had a good relationship with your father. We know you love sports. Do you want to give us just a little bit of background besides that?
Whew, a little bit of background. I mean, I think I've lived the life of about 8 people, so I wouldn't even know where to start. But as far as basketball goes, and as far as being a sports chiro goes, I've been playing basketball at the park, at McCambridge Park in Burbank, by my house since I was like 5 years old. I went to the gym with my dad since I was 3 years old. Played pickup 5s and 3s my whole life, and played high school varsity all 4 years. Went to College of the Canyons, played there, which is where I met Kobe. Played one-on-one with him for 2 weeks. I had an 83% three-point shot at that time. Was pretty much unstoppable at the 3. I never really liked playing with girls because I grew up playing with guys, and it's a completely different game. But we could get into that on another time.
Or we can get into it today.
Or we could get into this now.
You know we're going to get into it today.
We could get into this now.
All the dudes.
This the dirt, Doc. This the dirt.
Spoken like a true media.
I'm just saying, it's 2 different games. You know, there's a game about finesse, and then there's a game about like brute kind of fundamentals. I'd say, you know, they're both great, but I feel like my game growing up was very much about like a finesse game, of an old school bob movement game. Yeah, so anyway, grew up playing pickup. After that, still playing leagues. I just finished the Loot 35 and over league, and with Buddha actually.
Ooh, watch out.
And you know, just still playing at 24-hour fitness. So everybody that knows me knows that I could hoop, but if nobody knows me, I'm waiting on the sidelines for like 3 hours just to get a run. You know, nobody's picking me up.
There's a new sheriff in
That's their
town.
loss.
Wow.
There's a new
That's
sheriff
their
in
loss.
town.
Yeah, no, I openly come out with basketball. I suck at basketball. I can do media for basketball. I can do research for basketball. Don't hand me a basketball on a court because it's just straight embarrassing. So, Ferran saw me shooting a little bit at Staples Center when we did the prison game, I think it was. That was.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I suck. So, G knows how to play.
Kobe and classic game.
That game was awesome. I had so much fun.
Old versus new.
That was so much fun. Go ahead. Who?
No, I was just gonna go backtrack. So since she gave the overview, Doc, so what was it like growing up in your environment in the area you grew up in? What was that like?
You know, it was chill. I think really I grew up on the basketball court, so that was my environment. Also, my dad is Ecuadorian. He has 11 brothers and sisters, so we were a very tight-knit community. We saw each other like 2 to 3 times a week growing up. So I grew up in a very diverse kind of atmosphere, and I think that you know, God really made me a healer, made me somebody that sees people for what's inside of them. And so for me, I'm good in like any situation, really.
What do you mean by diverse? I mean, that's a descriptive term. So what do you, like, do you have an example
all
of
different
diversity?
types of socioeconomic, you know, sports brings anybody. It doesn't matter like what your education level is. It doesn't matter what your race is. It doesn't matter what your religion is. So all different religions, all different races, all different socioeconomic classes come together with sports.
It's true. I was literally just going to ask you that. I was going to ask if you dealt with any type of prejudice being a minority, or a
Well,
being a girl in
if
a
you
guy
look at me,
you can't tell.
as a girl, yes. So growing up, like I always had to prove myself on the basketball court. Like I always tried to go for, you know, being one of the guys. That was always my goal, to just be seen as one of the guys. And I constantly had to prove myself. So that made me pretty tough in that way. And then as I grew up, I tended to choose occupations that were like male dominated as well, and seemed to thrive in there. But yeah.
So I know our peers can be hard on us, especially if you've been around basketball. So any labeling like tomboy or anything, any of those kind of labels came across your conversation?
Well, I think really, if you look at me, first of all, I don't look like a minority at all, right? I pretty much look white, so I never really got like that kind of stuff. But I tend to, every once in a while, chop my hair off really short or shave the sides or do something like that. So I do get labeled in different ways at different times of my life, depending on what I look like. But I kind of like it, because I kind of like to see what other people go through and how they feel and the things that they have to deal with on a daily basis. And it really is different. You know, there was a while where I had the whole back and the sides of my head shaved. I had really short hair. And I remember getting discriminated against a lot by like older people, and they treated me a lot differently. And so it's just, I think that it's good for people to kind of like step into somebody else's shoes if you can. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do that all the time, but if there's a way that you can, just to understand like where they might be coming from and what they might be experiencing.
No,
I appreciate you saying that, because with the times that we're in right now, people think it's always this black thing, but people don't understand that discrimination can come across in many fashions versus male or female. How you look, the kind of clothes you have on, your hairstyle. Like people judge you just based off of that initial encounter with you. A lot of times.
Even religion, like just people see that I have tattoos and stuff. I've got crap for that. So Farhan, you're religious and you have tattoos. And they mean, Christians aren't supposed to have tattoos, stuff like that, you know, and that's out there also.
Yeah, I mean, I would never even begin to think that I would know 1/10 of what some people go through on a daily basis for their whole lives, for centuries. And, you know, I just think that if somebody got a little taste of what it was like, that they might change their behavior a little bit.
Well, the way you're looking at life and you're so positive about life, did that help maybe motivate you to go into the medical field? You said you wanted to help people. Is that like motivation?
I think it was just always in me. And I thought that because I didn't have that pathway set when I was younger, that it just wasn't going to be for me. So when I decided to go to medical school, I actually was coaching high school varsity basketball at the time at Glendale Academy. And I had 2 daughters. Well, obviously I still have 2 daughters. They were 2 and 6 at the time though. And I was a single mom. I had a call from my daughter's school, which I was getting a discount on the tuition because I coached basketball there, and it was private school, you know, Glendale Academy. And I got a call from the school saying, your tuition for your daughter is past due and her kindergarten graduation is coming up and she's not going to be able to walk with her friends if you don't pay $1,000 by 1 p.m. tomorrow. And I just kind of like, I got off the phone and I just like melted down into the floor in the kitchen and my head against the cupboard. And I just was like, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to get $1,000 by tomorrow so my daughter can graduate? And, you know, not to throw shade or anything on their dad, but at that time, that was the only thing that I had asked him to pay. Now, luckily, thank God, through the grace of God and the power of God, like, he is an amazing dad now, and he's a great dad, and he takes great care of my girls, and he gets to have them half the week. So, you know, I prayed and prayed and prayed that one day, like, he would come around and see how amazing it is to be a parent, to be a father, and the daughters that he has, and he has. So I'm really thankful for that. So I'll never stop praying. But yeah, I didn't know what I was going to do. And it was at that moment I realized I needed to do something more to be able to have security, to be able to take care of my daughters, and my dream of taking care of my parents in the future when I got older. You know, I needed to do something different with my life. I needed a different path. So it was at that point I decided to become a nurse. And I moved to New Mexico to go to the University of New Mexico because my girl's dad, his parents were like semi-retired, and I figured they would be able to help me through nursing school, and that would be a good idea for the kids to be taken care of. I knew it was going to be like hectic. So I did really amazing. I had a 4.05 that first semester, and I saw a flyer for a meeting that said, come see what it would take to get accepted into medical school. And I was like 30 years old at this point, you know, like medical school, like, well, let me just go see. Like, let me just go see what it would take. So I left that meeting like, forget nursing, I'm going to be a doctor. And changed to my major to biochem. And I actually, you know, advanced a little, like a couple years, fast forward, my dad hurt his back. And when I was home for the summer, and I didn't go back to school that next semester because I wanted to stay and help him with his back and everything. And I wanted to make sure that like he knew that I was there and that he was taken care of, you know, just to be by his side. And he got better. And I went back to New Mexico, and I had some like financial issues. So I actually had to take a break from school a couple semesters after that. So I decided to go sell cars at Lexus, right? Okay. So first of all, I just walked in there and I was like, hey, like, I think I would be really amazing at this because I love cars and I think that I could do a great job. So give me a job. And they're like, haha, yeah, lady, you know, get out of here. So I kept going back, and I would bake cookies and bring them to them and be like, hey, you know, I'm still here, you know, I still want to sell cars. Like I brought them like a couple batches of cookies over the weeks, you know, and finally they're like, okay, you wore us down, like you can have a job. So I was really good at it, and I was able to like stack a bunch of cash in that one semester that I took off. But it so happened that the second people that I sold a car to were a couple. The wife was the dean of admissions for the medical school. Wow. And the husband was the head of the PA program, right? Total God thing, right? At this time, you know, I was on the worship team at my church in Albuquerque, and you know, I was like spending all my time in the Bible, you know, just like life groups, like things were solid at that time, like spiritually, like really solid. So I could really see like God's hand moving through my life. And so obviously there were other trials and tribulations going on in my love life and things like that. And kind of always seems to be that thorn in my side, but we won't delve into that. But just to let you know, like there were like struggles, of course, the whole time. But yeah, so I sold them a car, and then they ended up coming back a month later to buy another car from me. And they were so impressed that they were like, you know, like we're just really impressed with you. And I was able to shadow pretty much every department in the hospital after that.
Wow.
So as I'm shadowing every department, stop me anytime, you know, but
this is cool.
A good story.
No, keep going.
I'm liking it.
While I'm shadowing the hospital, growing up, like my whole family is Seventh-day Adventist, and if you know anything about Seventh-day Adventists, they're pretty natural, right? Like very, very natural. Not even caffeine, no Tylenol, stuff like that. When they're really, really pious, right?
Oh, man.
But so we grew up on homeopathic medicine, on natural medicine. So here I am in the hospital, and I see patients coming in saying like, doc, like I'm getting tingling and numbness in my feet and in my hands, and they have like a pendulous abdomen, like a belly sticking out. They have like dark blotches on their face and things like that, you know. And to me, not even having gone through medical school yet, I'm looking at him like he's diabetic, you know, like that's what I'm saying. And because ever since I was a little kid, I noticed things about people, and that's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, okay, this guy needs to start exercising. Like they need to change their diet. They need to like go out, get in the sun. Like I'm thinking about all these different things that they need to do. And then they're asking the doctor for like, what should I do? And then the doctor's just writing a prescription and handing them a piece of paper time after time after time. And I was like, wait, why didn't you like talk to them about this? Or why didn't you ask them about their diet, or ask them about their exercise routine, or like talk to them about something? Like why do you just give them that? Can't really ask questions because that's just it's just what it is, you know, like,
you know.
Yeah. So I was very, very disenchanted, very disappointed in what I saw. And, you know, like, I'm not saying that medicine doesn't have its place, because it really does. And we're very thankful for the medicine that we do have when it comes to saving lives or emergencies. I'm just saying, like, that wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so after all that hard work, after all that sacrifice, after all that struggle, you know, after all the time I missed out with my 2 babies, my young kids, working my butt off to get good grades, to get opportunities to like continue living out there, and by myself without my family, you know, for this dream to be able to one day take care of everybody. And it just, I didn't know what to do. So I came back home and I went back to doing makeup, because I had been a makeup artist for a long time. And I went back to also doing makeup. And I actually almost went back to selling cars, but then I was like, no. And so I didn't know what to do. And one of my cousins was actually going to chiropractic school at the time, and I saw her at Christmas, and she was telling me about how much she loved it and how great it was. And so I was like, I'd been to a chiropractor a couple of times, and I was like, interesting, because I remember feeling so good. Like I felt like my body just started working so much better after my adjustments. And so I was like, interesting. I wonder like how far I can take this into like, not just for alignment purposes or just for like posture or biomechanics, like how far this would actually be able to go into actually healing. Mm-hmm. And so I went to chiropractic school, you know, I did my interview, I did my application, everything, I got accepted. I went, and at first I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? You know, because everybody was like saying, oh, chiropractors are not real doctors, or like, why would you choose that over an MD? You know, people were like not understanding, and there's a big stigma against chiropractors. And so I, you know, in me growing up, always having to prove myself, it was like that fighter in me kicked in. And I was like, not real doctors. Like, all right, I'm gonna show you. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I studied and I did everything I could. I had a 3-hour commute every day, because I didn't want to pull my kids out of their school, because they had already moved school so many times. I didn't want to pull them out. Mm-hmm. And they had friends and everything, you know. And so I commuted every day, and I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, went to bed like at midnight, 1 a.m. every night. You know, I was like burning the candle at both ends. I would leave like certain days and times where I wouldn't study, and that would just be times with my girls, because I knew that I had to have a balance. And even though everything in me wanted to just like prove, you know, everything, I had to have my balance, because my most important thing over everything is being a good mom. And so
absolutely.
So I went through all that. I'm still hooping at 24 throughout school. It was the day before this huge exam, like a whole 8-hour exam all day. Wow. And I was hooping at 24, and in a freak little accident, somebody just hit me in the right spot, in the right position, and broke my collarbone.
Oh, wow.
And this was also a couple weeks before clinical started. So before I was actually going to start treating patients in school.
Oh, man.
Broke my collarbone. And so there was that now, you know, and I was just determined, like, nothing's going to stop me. Like, nothing is going to stop me. And I had surgery because, of course, you know, with a broken collarbone, most of you know, like, you don't really have to do anything. They're not going to, like, put a cast on your shoulder. Like, you just kind of, like, let it heal as long as it's not shattered into a million pieces. But the surgeon's like, just don't use your arm for 4 months. You'll be good. You know, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to go back in, like, I'm not going to be delayed in school, and I need to use my arm. So just stick a plate and some, you know, bolts in there and let's go. So had surgery, went back to school, did what I could, just like powered through it, you know, and graduated with honors. I had a little like delay time where I felt like God was really like working on my character and everything as far as this whole mission, I think, goes. And I learned a lot during that time. I was able to get this internship with this guy in Beverly Hills who really is like a true healer and magician. And he really helped me to link the parts of me that were my intuition and that were in me already since I was a kid, and everything that I learned in school. And he helped me to be able to like link those and create my own way. So I'm very grateful to him. His name is Tarek in Beverly Hills. And like learned so much from him as far as like how to behave and how to deal with like very affluent people, and just his whole vibe. Like, you know, when you grow up in your own environment, like you really only learn what you've seen modeled. And so when you get out there and you find a mentor, like that's one of the most important things that I think anybody can do, is just find a mentor, somebody who's doing something really well that you want to do. And that, I think that really changes everything.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah. So
how did the mentor versus your relationship with your dad, how were they different? Because I'm sure you had to, you were challenged by the mentor's belief systems as far as what you learned from your dad. So how did you adapt both philosophy or ideas?
So my dad is one of the most amazing humans that I think has walked the planet, and I will tell you why. So he's, like I said, he has 11 brothers and sisters. He's the oldest. His mom was a nurse, and his dad was a healer in Ecuador, right? And I think that's where we all get it from. But my dad has been like the little dad of all these kids ever since he was really little. He would get money and he would like give it immediately to all of his brothers and sisters. He would take the bus. He would walk so that they could take the bus. Like anything that he had, he would give it away. He would share. So my dad got older. He came when he was 17 with like $30 in his pocket. That whole story, the immigrant story, you know, like he came to America and he worked his butt off, like 2+ jobs for like 2 years to be able to bring all of his brothers and sisters with his mom back here to the US. And, you know, he's just like, if you talk to his brothers and sisters, they just have so many amazing things to say. They have stories. They have like all these things that they remember of how my dad like really gave them wings to do whatever that they do. And luckily, like all of my dad's brothers and sisters, they're amazing, because my grandma, she was hardcore. She was like 4'11", hardcore little Indian Ecuadorian looking woman, like super short and just like strong. Like she had no fear. Like my dad tells me stories that she would just walk up to anybody and they would be trembling, you know, like she was just such a woman of God. She had no fear. And so my dad is very uplifting, very like, oh honey, you're the best, you're the greatest, you can do anything, you know. My mentor, on the other hand, he was very much like the what's that movie, Karate Kid? Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Mr.
yeah,
Miyagi.
so he would never like give you the answer to anything. If you asked a question, he would never give you an answer. He would answer your question with a question, and then give you like things to research, or he just sent me down this whole path of discovery and into different things that I was like being led to, but he gave me that extra little push to be able to go through it and find it. And in that, I was very empowered, because, you know, when you're growing up, like you need the confidence to know that you can do everything, but you also need the experience to know that you can do everything if you continue to work at it and you just like make it, you know?
Do you, Doc, it seems like your whole family is a family of fighters, and you said their mom or your grandma or your mom, you said the really short one. You totally reminded me of my grandma. Yeah, my grandma was exactly the same way. We had the big Puerto Rican family. So I had the exact same thing. She had an older sister, but her older sister was kind of just doing her own thing. And my grandma took care of the other 6 kids, you know, like all the time. It was crazy. Do you carry over the fighting mentality with your daughters? And do you see their drive do they have your kind of drive? Do you see that in like their dance or whatever it is? You said
so it's funny that you say that, because there were a couple times where I was talking with like my friends or just, you know, anybody, and I'm amazed by my daughters, like absolutely amazed by my daughters. Their work ethic, their drive, their integrity, their ability to like see what's right and what's wrong, their discernment. Like I'm so amazed by that. And, you know, there's times where I'm like, where did they get this from? Like, how did they become like this? And because I was not like that when I was their age. Like, I was kind of just like trial and error, like lost, you know, like, you know, they're just so, I don't know. I was asking, you know, like, where did they get this from? And they're like, you modeled it to them. Like, you worked your butt off and you were dedicated and you studied and you did all this, and that's what they saw. They didn't see you in your teenage years. They didn't see you like in your childhood years lost, and like, you know, they saw you determined. They saw you on a mission. They saw your drive. They saw everything. So that's like, of course, that's where they got it from. And their dad is very driven too. So they get a lot of that from him, and his, really on both sides, they have a lot of talent and they have a lot of drive. And I think that there's a lot of passion that's involved. We've got a lot of artists, we have a lot of writers, we have a lot of healers, stuff like that.
Everything.
Hey, Doc, I want to go back. We got Buddha on the call with us as well on the Zoom. You skipped over something that I've been waiting to ask you. What did you went from playing basketball to coaching? So what was that? What happened in that transition? Like, how did you go from playing basketball to now coach at a high school?
Oh, so when I was, so I played when I was around 19 is when I stopped playing JUCO, and then I just like lived life. And you stopped playing why?
And you stopped playing why?
Because I wasn't that good.
Say it again. You was what?
Because I wasn't that good. You know, I wasn't good enough to move on to the next level. Like I didn't like playing with girls. I didn't really feel like I fit in. Like I don't know. I always felt like I was like a guy trapped in a girl's body. I mean, I like guys, don't get me wrong, you know, but it's just like, I always felt like I would have been a really good like guy. Anyway, so I just lived life. Like, I became a security guard at Magic Mountain. I didn't really have like a goal of what I was gonna do. And so this is why recently I actually went back to Glendale Academy to do career day. And one of the biggest things that I said is, don't worry if you don't know where you're going yet. Don't worry if you're kind of just like floating. Don't worry if you haven't found your passion yet, or what it is that you are destined to do. Like, you don't know what God's plan is for you. You don't know if you have to go through all these different things to build your character first, because you're just not ready to handle the actual mission that you have for your life. So that's my biggest thing, you know. Like, I don't push my girls to like, oh, you have to do this, or you have to do that, you have to be this, or you have to be that. Like, I know that they'll find themselves when it's the right time.
Absolutely.
And however, they're already on their paths, but that's how I feel.
I got one more dig about basketball, and I'll leave you alone. So
Okay.
in the JUCO era, what was it? Was it somebody in your same position, or I mean, what made you think? Because a lot of times we always think that we're not good enough. I mean, that's a normal. I still deal with that at 50 years old. That we always tell ourselves, you're not good enough. You know, that's our subconscious mind that tells us. No, I'm pretty sure nobody probably really pointed it out to you. So, in your mind, why did you? What was the challenges in JUCO?
I didn't know how to play against women because, you know, thank God things are different now, but I didn't really have a good relationship with women in my life. And, you know, when I was a kid, there was an incident with a nanny as well, or housekeeper / babysitter, that I didn't trust women and I didn't really like women. And so playing with women, I was always very timid. I wasn't really myself. And so I didn't really feel comfortable in that environment.
Yeah.
So that's why. It's funny though, because I am gluten intolerant, and I would get winded, and I was always anemic. When I turned 30, I discovered that I was gluten intolerant, got into the best shape of my life, like built muscle, had a 6-pack for the first time in my life. Then I wanted to try out for the UNM team, but I was too busy, you know, taking care of the babies and trying to go to school and trying to survive to try and play basketball. But I was ready at that time.
I just want to say thank you for sharing that experience with the women, because if people be honest with themselves about their life, those are the same things that happen to people in our life, or even our parents, that something happens with our parents and it's like, and that same trust that impacts you with that person that I had with both of my parents in a different situation. So when you grow up, it was that woman who did that, but it reflected women in your whole life as it started to play out. And a lot of people don't understand that thing with your mom or your dad, it covers men and women and how you start to behave. And then there's the distrust, and there's something that you feel as just not a connection to other people. And a lot of times, if we don't do the research or really be honest with ourselves or where those things came from, you could be stuck in that for your whole entire life and not find any freedom or peace of mind. And that's really been my journey. The last 10 years is peeling off all that stuff that happened in the past that really wasn't even about my parents. It was just stuff that happened, and I made it mean something totally different than it actually was, and found my peace around it. So I appreciate you saying that part of what that looks like, because people need to understand that is a real life human flaw that we do, and it plays out against everybody that we come in contact, because that person will always remind us of that experience. And if you don't let that experience go, you can be trapped, and it can take you out of a lot of things that you want to pursue. So I appreciate you.
Hey, Doc, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So with everything that you have gone through, with all your troubles, tribulations, you having to be a single mother, how were you able to get through it? Like, what kept you going? What motivated you the most? What kept you inspired to just make it?
I'd say my daughters, mostly my girls, just like this innate desire inside of me that I've always had since I was really little, to be the best mom that I could be. And they really, really keep me going. Also knowing that my dad has gone through a lot of stuff too, and he's just like a very keep it moving, doesn't complain, like he just does what needs to be done, and he's always there for everybody else, and never really asks for anything from anybody. And so he's a huge hero to me, a huge inspiration. And then of course God, like knowing that he's real, that Jesus is real, and that you can see his hand in your life in certain ways, like knowing that this is not my home, knowing that one day we're going to be taken home, and that's where I belong.
Absolutely. It's crazy you say that, because like you never know why you went through what you went through. Like I went through a divorce, I changed majors a couple times, I also had a kid, and it changes you. It changes you as a person, it changes you, your motivation, and like also what you went through as a young child. You didn't carry that over to your girls, and that makes a huge difference in their lives, and they're gonna see that. And again, like you said, also they're watching you. We talked about this on a couple of other episodes. If your kids are always watching you, if you're a good example, then they're gonna grow up to be better people.
Yep.
Oh, I got one more question. I got a question. So, Doc, so since you said you love to play ball with the boys more than the girls, like you stated, so like growing up, like who was like the player that you paid attention to,
there it is,
and why?
Okay, so growing up, it was all about Showtime Lakers, right? Because I grew up in the 80s. So I was born in 79. So I grew up in the 80s. It was all about Showtime. It was all about Magic Johnson. And then like pretty much Lakers from all then. I was hardcore Laker fan. When Kobe came out, it was over. Just changed the game, like I was literally in love with that man from the moment I saw him. And when I met him during the lockout from the Forum, when I was playing at COC, I got to play one-on-one with him for 2 weeks. And this was pre-Vanessa. I just want to make that clear.
Clear.
Oh, okay.
Julie
Excuse me.
Yes. Yeah. So it's funny because at that time I actually had a boyfriend, and so yeah, and I kicked myself for that for years and years later. Anyway,
that is funny. Wait, good question, George. All right, so since we jumped onto the whole celeb train here, I gotta throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Have you talked about working with a couple celebrities? Okay. I know in your profession you have to be professional when you have celebrities come in. Did you ever have a celebrity come in and you actually had like a fangirl moment?
What's the funniest thing is that not even like anybody that came in to see me, because I feel like that's like kind of on a different level. Like I'm like supposed to be helping them. I go into work mode and healer mode, and then it's just like I don't think about things like that. But I saw Derek Fisher in Target a few months ago, and I think I saw a picture on Instagram. I have no idea why I got total fangirl on him. Like I couldn't even talk. Like he walked by, and there, my kids were so embarrassed because I probably was sounding like a babbling idiot, right? So I see Derek Fisher walk by, and I was like, I think my eyes got really big, and I was just like, Derek Fisher? Like I just like mumbled under my breath, and he like looked at me, and he was like, hi.
Oh, that's awesome.
So weird. So weird. So I just like started talking to him, but when you could like, you hear yourself and you probably imagine like what you look like, and you're like, stop it. Stop acting like that. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yes.
I don't even know why. I think it's because I grew up watching Derek Fisher when I was little. You know what I'm saying? So it was like when I was a teenager, like, so it was on a different level, like the Lakers on a different level. I don't know. It was weird.
Don't worry, Doc. That happened to me too when I met him.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I totally got starstruck, and
Starstruck.
I didn't even know what I was saying to him, and he was just looking at me.
It's funny. I had a situation like that. Couple actually. I work at Angel Stadium too. So mine was Mark McGuire. He was the for the Dodgers at the time, and he came up the stairs, and I was just like, and usually I'm in work mode. I'm like, oh, Mr. McGuire, thank you for coming. Hope you have a
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, the tunnel's that way. Like an idiot. And then another funny story. I met Triple H years back, and my buddy, he was cool. But I was cool about it. But my buddy, who's like military guy now and everything, he was just like, hey, what's up, champ? What's your name? My buddy forgot his freaking name. Like, just stood there like deer in headlights staring at it. Was freaking great. We were like 18 at the time. So that's why it was so freaking hilarious. I just thought I was going to throw that out there. What about you, George? Do you have any fangirl moments?
Yeah, actually I do. So I was in Six Flags, right? So it was me and my sister. It was me and my sister's birthday. We were turning 21 years old. So me and my sister, we get off Ninja. So we walk by. I see this tall guy. I'm like, okay, this tall guy looks familiar. So I looked at him again. I was like, is that Sharif Abdul-Rahim?
Oh, no way.
So I looked at him. Yeah, bro, like no joke. So I looked at him. I was like, that's Sharif Abdul-Rahim. So I told my sister, hey, sis, pull up your phone. I'm taking a picture with this guy. Because that's like one of those moments that you can't miss. So we took a picture of him. I told him like, hey, how you doing? Like we had like a little small conversation, and yeah, man, like he was like a cool dude, and yeah, he's just doing so well. And another one was when I actually met Jordan Farmore over at the Rose Bowl.
Okay.
So me and my
That's funny because he's a Valley boy,
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. So I was there only because like I went to a soccer game. So this is right after the Lakers won their first championship in 09 since Shaq left. So yeah, I seen him. I'm like, hey, that's Jordan Farmar. So like then like I was like, hey, what's up, Jordan Farmar? He gave me like the salute. So
his whole name?
Yeah, like that was like yeah. So like that was like one of my fan moments.
That's cool. When you use their full name, they know that you're fanboying or fangirl.
Yeah.
Like when I'm at work, it's always Mr. This or Miss This, like. But then you're like, oh my God, you're blah 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 blah, and they're like, I know. I was born with that name. Like, what the hell, That's crazy.
Yeah.
Doc, I love the fact that we can talk about just like the most random stuff with you. And I know you've been on like almost every show with us, and you're following everybody. And you also have some of our players like Buddha as your patients. So you got Buddha. You have personal relationships with them as well. And I really, really like that. But you can also get really serious. And I do want to jump. We can't go a show without talking about what's going on. So we've asked players over the last couple weeks, what can you do both professionally and maybe as a mother to teach your daughters how to go about the situation that's going on, and how can you make a difference in the situation that's going on as well?
So as a mother, I think, my daughters are there. I don't think they've ever not been in the right mindset. Coming from, coming from their dad and from me, like they've always been very well, like taught regarding people. No, I don't even want to say like race, or just people.
Anything.
And my older daughter, actually, she has an online magazine, and there's actually classes on there. It's called Quarantines Mag. It's at Quarantines Mag on Instagram. There are a bunch of classes on there for the summer for other teens that her staff and like people that she's affiliated with are doing. And one of them is, what is it called? The racism class, anti-racism class. How to make a difference against systemic racism is one of the classes that they're offering. So she's also doing a fundraiser with some stickers that they're going to give the proceeds to some local Black artists and different groups and things like that to kind of help with that. But as far as like a doctor, you know, I just try to help people individually, help people heal, help people to know that they're amazing, that they're loved, that everything that makes them who they are, just like how we talked about all the different things that I've gone through in my life that has built my character to make me who I am. Like everything that they've gone through in their life really contributes to the person that they are today. And I really help to let go of negative things that like bodies, our muscles, our tendons, our tissues, they hold on to trauma. And when we can release that and we can change that neurology from the brain to the body, you can really and the posture, you can really change somebody's neurotransmitters, their hormones, like the way that they're living, the way that they see the world. Because when you're stuck in a state of fight or flight your whole life, you really see it if like you have like a filter on that shows everything as dangerous, or I should be angry about this, or I should be scared of this, or, you know. So when you change somebody's trauma in their bodies and you teach them ways to take them out of a state of fight or flight and put them back into a state of rest and digest, that is the beginning of somebody really being able to reach their ultimate self. And so, you know, that's a huge part of what I do. And that's how I get people to reach their optimum levels, is not just like, okay, I've helped you fix your posture, or I've helped you like with your ACL injury or something like that. It's so much deeper than that is what I do. And that's, I think, what makes me more of like a healer as opposed to just like a chiropractor.
I like that. Buddha, since you're here, I got to put you on the spot, bro. Has she done that for you ever? Or anything like
Doc was actually very kind to me, because being the situation that I was in at the time, she was very, very lenient with a lot of the situations that I had going on. And I have never been worked on before by a chiropractor, let alone just like somebody trying to like fix me up and shake me up. But I felt a lot of relief on my back. And shortly after meeting her, like I just got motivated. I got like this new spout of energy that I haven't felt since I was like 32 years old. So yeah, and then she just kept encouraging me to come back and working on little things like my feet. My feet were another big thing. Worked on my calves and my Achilles. Oh my God, there was like a blood flow rush that went to my feet. It was like a tingling sensation. I'll never forget that feeling. But yeah, I was dealing with a lot of feet pain, and like all of that had like went away. And I was a true believer in what it is that she believed in, and what it is that she was trying to do. Unfortunately, my situation wasn't able to like continue to keep going, but definitely very happy that I met her, because not only was like she was a doctor for me, but she became very personal. We actually played basketball together, and I can see why she says she likes playing with guys. Yeah, man, she's just a dope person. Just going to her house and seeing her office in her house, like you can definitely respect her grind and her hustle. And like hearing her story about her father, like where she came from, where her roots are from, you can definitely see why she is the way she is.
Absolutely. Yeah, you played against her. Did you play against her, or were you guys on the same team?
We were on the same team. Dude wouldn't like
Be
give me the
interesting
ball.
I think I saw that game.
Yeah,
Was that George?
The first game we didn't really gel that well, and then the second game, I wasn't used to playing with her, but the second game I think he made a few jump shots, and the guys were like, "Hey man, I actually like how she plays. She plays a lot harder than the guys on our team. It's the over 35 team, so she's actually one of our people. She's one of our players that are actually in good shape."
You hear that, Ferran? Get her a jersey now.
Huh.
No, like actually seeing her play with the guys, she plays really well.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe
She
it.
plays her game. That's the best thing about her. Like she knows what she's good at, so she doesn't try to go outside of that. So
Mhm.
she can hit an
Outside
open
the
jump
box.
shot. So that's all I really need. I can get the attention.
There you go,
If
Doc.
If she could play and coach, I'll buy the WABA team and we'll just go
Oh
forward.
God,
in
here
the
we
girls.
go.
Let's do it.
Over the world.
Let's do
There
it.
you go.
don't like playing with
Actually-
girls.
Go ahead,
Ron.
Ron.
You don't like playing with
What you
girls,
listening?
man.
You don't like the girls.
Coach, I said coach. I didn't say play. I said
Oh,
coach.
coach. Man, she's still trying to
Oh,
hoop.
You know you meant that though.
Oh God.
I wanted to share with y'all some real quick news. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I've been like struggling out here, not to take the attention away, but I do have my own crib now.
Hell yeah, bro.
Woo!
Much love, Buddha.
Yo, let's go, Buddha.
Congrats,
Hey,
congrats.
so when is the housewarming party, bro?
It's be real
Register
soon,
it.
matter of fact. It ain't gonna be much longer. I just got to get to know my neighbors a little bit more.
Sounds good. Get the
Oh,
word
Yeah,
out.
man.
Well, I'll
That's
bring you some
awesome,
food.
Buddha. I'm so happy for you, and thank you for all
you,
the
guys.
really kind words that you said. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
congratulations.
Mhm.
that. And
Congrats, Buddha.
I'm always here. You know, anybody needs anything, I'm always here. The money part, we could always figure that out.
Mhm.
Like we could do whatever, you know, we can figure that out. But if anybody needs anything, I'm always here.
I'll second that. I've hit her up at like 2 a.m. sometimes, and she's helped me out. So she will. She really will. It's all good. She does. She does. So, all right, you guys. It's just about that time. This was cool. No one knew. You talk about God working things out. You're at a park with your girls, you know, just hanging out and.
Oh wait.
Never
I'm not. Wait, I got one more. Hold on.
Get on it. Hurry up.
So Doc, you know, we're still in the process of building our ABA basketball team, of course.
Right.
With the season, this whole pandemic, I mean, we're pushing forward. So, you know, we're looking to definitely build a relationship with you, and your company and with our players. So, how do you envision, or what do you see that could benefit both of us and the city of Oxnard and the Valley? Like, what do you see it from there?
I mean, I definitely think that prehab, in a way to where like players might not even know what's going on with them. They might not even feel something is restricted. They might not even feel like they could be better at something because they've just been living like that for so long. And so I really believe that if I can work on these players, like it'll take their game to the next level that they didn't even know was possible.
There's approval.
So I think that I'm really excited about that because I want them to be in the best shape that they could be possible so we could really make a difference in the community, in the ABA, you know, and however we got to work together, we'll figure it out.
Cool deal. Thank you.
She got the approval from Buddha. I totally saw it.
And look how Buddha turned out.
That's right. Party with Buddha.
I can't take credit for that. Buddha's amazing. He's been amazing.
No, I'm joking.
Crazy.
Hey, Buddha, nothing like your own place, man. Nothing like your own place, huh?
Congrats, bro.
God's timing, not ours.
That Buddha cave is real.
Buddha cave. What? That Buddha cave. Crazy.
Thank you, guys.
Cool deal.
Again, you guys, God put this together. I mean, who knew that we would get to know so much more about the doc today? You know, we passed the rock to the doc and look what happened an hour later, you know. It was freaking awesome. Does anybody else have anything they want to jump on? Coach, did you want to say anything? You've been quiet the whole time.
Yeah, I'm doing a little multitasking right now, but I've enjoyed the interview, enjoying the story, and it's just really cool that every person that's been interviewed has their own story, but it's all come to the same format that God's been involved and God's been working and brought us here. And side note, I'm beyond excited about Buddha's place. That's a whole nother story. Me and him have been talking a long time, and it's so well deserved, and hard work pays off. Just like the doc said, you know, she's grinded forever, and it all pays off. And it's just furthermore, like, you get what you put into it in any aspect of life. You know, how hard you put in, you're going to get out of it. But about Buddha, like, I've never seen Buddha with a smile on his face after he came from the dock. He had a game that night, I believe, the first time he went, he was like, bro, like, you don't even know how good I feel right now. And it was just the first session. So yeah, it's definitely changed his mindset. Like, he was no joke. Like, he was like, he couldn't really explain it to me, so I didn't know what he was talking about. He's just my feet. My feet feel better. Yeah, no, I'm really excited about the doc being involved and just this whole team, and appreciate Ricky and George and G putting this together every week. And it's been really cool to hear everybody's story. And it's, you know, as Fran shared, you know, the tryouts are finally set for the 18th, and we're excited to get started, and we're ready to go. Just November can't come soon enough.
It's happening,
Yes, sir.
It's really happening.
And
Yes,
the
sir.
logo, I'm gonna throw a little
God.
anticipation into it. The
I'm
logo
not saying
is
anything. You know
almost
how
done.
I feel.
The logo is almost done,
Thank you.
and it's beyond dope.
Is
So
it?
I'll just leave it there.
Compared to what we inherited, oh my God! From what we inherited,
Yeah.
I'm beyond excited about it. The uniforms are going to be amazing, so just be ready.
We're ready.
I'll take
That's why
Coach's
you gotta
word
get
for
one
that.
of each. Get one of each.
Like I said, number 34, please.
All right. So get
Thank
32.
Oh,
I got 21. There you go. George, you got anything?
give me 11.
Oh wait, what number? So what
you
number?
got any other questions for Doc? And then you can give a number.
Okay.
Yeah, number
first one,
11,
number
just real
20.
quick, number 11 is Buddha.
Yeah.
Buddha
Oh,
English
man.
number 11.
I was
So.
just about to say that.
Give me 94.
I want to
I'll get
guess.
him on the test jersey. On 94.
Okay, any number,
Go ahead,
just
George.
give me number 20. Just give me number 20 because I love Gary Payton so much.
There you go.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey.
whoa,
Oh, for
man.
Love,
Lakers.
man.
Respect,
Yeah, it's like my
respect.
second favorite player behind Kobe Bryant.
There it is.
But
Oh.
a question for Doc.
Nothing.
You can do it.
Yeah, because
yeah,
Cricket.
I can't figure out a
Any
question.
close
Like,
out question, so anything.
Crickets.
hey, so
It's
Doc.
Yes.
So I know you're gonna say yes to this, but is there any chance that you and Buddha are gonna be teammates again, and are you guys gonna be that 1-2 punch going
There it is.
into like next season of the Loot League in the Valley?
I mean, I'm down.
Like Buddha could be the Shaquille O'Neal, and you could be the Kobe
Oh
Bryant.
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on,
Let me go back on mute.
Buddha with the post.
Ferran,
Damn,
LA's the real. Hey, you know the Lakers are the real LA team. Like, so give it up, bro.
Oh, here we go. All right, that's for another show, guys. That's for another show.
Another show, another day.
Another show.
Another show for another
We'll have a
day.
debate show.
Hey, George, I'm 50 years old, bro. I don't have peer pressure no more, bro. It's not that easy. We gotta get more than that, bro. It's not that easy.
All right.
I am very, very thankful that that Buddha gave me a chance to be on that team, actually, because
You deserved it.
I didn't know anybody, so he brought me on. So I'm very thankful for that.
She earned it.
Doc's the GOAT.
That's right.
Hey, man, we all just want to hoop, man. That's all it is.
Same here, man.
Exactly.
Hey, Doc, I got one for you, Doc. So your mental toughness, right? I mean, to experience that playing from the girls' basketball to playing with guys and being the last one sometimes or not even being picked. Like, how did you get yourself to get up and put those tennis shoes back on and go out there another day to possibly not get picked up?
Oh, well, I never not got picked up, but because I am like 5'9", so I am taller than some guys that are even there. But I never not got picked up at all, and it only took like one time for them to be like, "Oh, okay, she could hoop." But as far as like pickup games go, but yeah, I don't know. Like I never let that bother me. It's just keep it moving.
Absolutely.
Keep it moving.
Keep grinding, keep pushing.
Hey, Doc, I'll make a video of you. I'll make a mixtape of you just so, like, if anybody says that you're not a baller, you can tell them that tape I sent you.
Hell yeah.
maybe give me like 2 months to get back into shape.
Everybody's saying
Got you
that.
See, Doc, you got everybody's support here. You support everybody else these last couple shows. We could tell that you are that type of person. But you got your boys, and I promise you, we're going to support you in whatever you do. And I just want to personally thank you for saving our butts today. There's no other way to put it. You saved our butts today. Thank you so much for that. You know, on behalf of Farhan, G, George,
Thank you, Doc.
Buddha, you know, Coach, thank you. That's all I can say is thank you.
Appreciate it.
No, I'm honored, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys letting me be a part of this movement, because that's really what it feels like it is. It's more than just a team. You know, it's a movement. And I think that Robbie was a really good example of what we're trying to accomplish here on a larger level, right? With character, with bringing the kingdom higher.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that spiritual piece, Doc. I know you pointed out a lot of times in your interview, and we really didn't touch on that spirituality piece, but it is definitely something that I'm learning as I develop mine even more. I had someone, my pops, my stepfather, said that you know, if I'm praying to God and you're praying to God, and the people in Iraq are praying to God, how do we know that we're not talking to the same God? Like, who are we to say? That you just have to let people, you know, participate how they are and find their own belief and find their own way, because it's not for me to just, you know, to judge you based off of what kind of spiritual conversation you're having. So for me, it's just like, it's best, it's you meet people where they are, right? And your character will develop, and that will show the person what kind of person you are. But you don't have to force the religious, or people use religious conversation, religion, and it's more of a relationship. I mean, when you look at what the principles are for, it's not about religion or religious stuff. It's just really principles to live your life by, apply by. So I think it's very important that people will get to see that, especially from, if you've been around Coach Don. I mean, he demonstrates that every time, and no matter where he's at, and he doesn't have to force it or push it out there to be like, okay, you better behave or you better act right. It's more of your character. And so I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people get religious when it comes to spirituality conversation, and it doesn't have to be a religious conversation. It's principles to live by, and just see where you are in your own life. And if that works for you, or you want some improvement, this is what we did, and this is how we live, and this is what it's about for us. And, you know, but not to judge people where they are. You just have to accept them where they are.
Absolutely.
So that religious piece is not about religion at all. And even Don will tell you, it's definitely not a religious conversation. It's definitely, you know, it can improve how you live and how your quality of life focuses on. So, I mean, I look at Buddha. I know Buddha is like, at peace.
What?
Being in this environment. I'm just saying, being in this environment.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a conversation that can be had. So.
Yeah, it takes time. God's timing, not ours.
Yeah, I mean, even when we do know or have a relationship, we're never going to be perfect. We're never perfect. And we could even feel one way one day and then completely mess up the next day.
Yep.
You know, we're never going to be perfect. But we just got to keep it moving. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, that's like, just keep it moving. Anything that happens, just keep it moving. Just keep it moving.
No doubt.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, that's a good way to sign off right there, because just keep grinding. And if you displayed anything in your story, keep going, regardless of what's going on. Keep pushing, keep grinding, do what you got to do, and who knows what'll happen. That's right. Shout out. There it is. I see it, Farhan. We see it. There it is, Buddha. He's representing.
Whose shirt is that? Whose shirt
Yeah,
is that?
right. Representing. With the mask, too.
Whose shirt is that?
Yeah, we use advertising. Look at you. All right, so we are about out of time. So again, thank you, Farhan. Thank you, Buddha, for surprising us. We appreciate that. George, G, Coach, And of course, the Doc saving our butt again. This episode was Pass the Rock to the Doc, and we did that. And
What's up, Doc?
absolutely awesome. Oh, now we're gonna get
I'm the
the song
hyper,
going.
protected by a bipolar.
So we got episode 7 coming next week. Do I know who we have? Absolutely not. Do we know if they'll come? We don't know. But
Hey, you was on a roll.
We're gonna keep it
we did real good.
let me
We did
finish.
real
Let
good
me
up until
finish.
Mr. Ryan.
No,
I
this
don't
is
know what
good.
happened
This
to
is
Ryan,
good.
but
This
we
is
had a
good.
good run.
Let me
We
finish.
had a good run
Okay,
every
no, let me
weekend
finish.
so far.
No, let me finish. Things happen. God has reasons for everything. You know, it says right here, God has his reasons. Smile and you cry, you know? But I don't always agree with Ferran. We agree on a lot, but not on everything. But what he just told me during the show, kind of between the two of us, I'm going to throw it out there. I think it's a great idea. We're all family here. We're all the Orcas family. And we all have a story. And Ferran thinks that we should interview each other. So maybe one week we might jump on G. We might jump on George, myself. I'm totally down. You know, we all have.
I'd love to get to know all of y'all. I would love to get to know all of y'all.
Hey, Buddha says
Buddha,
it's good,
gotta
then
finish
I
our
think we
Buddha
should do
stories.
it.
Yeah. We got second part of Buddha's story, getting his place now, and might
Part
reach
two.
out.
Part
Yeah.
two.
Might.
Still balling.
I'm down for that.
So be ready. If that's the case, I'll hit you guys up and we'll try it. Sound like a plan?
All right.
Awesome.
Sweet. Thank you, Doc. You're
All
awesome.
right, guys.
Everybody be
Thank
safe.
you guys so much.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Go Orcas.
You guys have a good weekend.
See ya.
All right.
Cut it.